Good to see you. And it's just gone 8 o'clock. So this morning we're doing the, as usual on Wednesday, we're doing the self-care meditation. And I was just thinking as I was drinking my coffee this morning, we do need some self-care at the moment, don't we? What a world we live in. What a world. It's full of turbulence, and it's not surprising if a lot of us feel anxious and a bit worried and about what's happening, and maybe even a bit down and fed up, and it's quite hard, isn't it? So I want to talk about that just for a little bit, because we've got this fairly sudden announcement of the lockdown coming, starting tomorrow, which has knocked quite a few of us for six. We've got the elections, which seem to be quite tight in America. There's no, we can't be certain that they're going to go one way or the other. And we've got Brexit looming on the horizon. And we're in the middle of winter, so it's not a good time, really. It doesn't feel particularly good, perhaps for a lot of us. So I just want to talk about that. We live in a world where there's lots of ups and downs, and that we go through periods where there's more downs, it seems, than ups. And how do we survive that? Well, we can just allow ourselves to get anxious and worried and fed up, and that really doesn't help, does it? So what happens? I just wanted to talk about what happens when things don't go the way we want them to. As human beings, we really want things to go our way. We really want to be happy, and we think that being happy is about things going the way we want them to go. So when they don't go the way we want them to go, we react, because we're hardwired to see that as something that's going to make us unhappy. So what happens is that we, for instance, when the lockdown is announced and we know we've got to stay in from Thursday, we get a sinking feeling, some of us, or we might get a tightness in our body. So that's called Vedana. It's just a feeling tone. We associate it with a particular emotion, but it is just a feeling tone in the body. And then that feeling tone causes us to react in certain ways. We react in ways that we're conditioned to react. We don't want to stay in for a month. We don't want to not be able to go out for a meal or to the shops. We are trying to push it away. We're trying to push this unpleasant thing away, even though we know we can't, but part of us just doesn't want it. So the Buddha said that the announcements of the lockdown is like an arrow that's fired into us, and it hurts and it's unpleasant, and we can't do anything about it. And then he said what happens then is we shoot ourselves with a second arrow that is all about not wanting this, about resisting this, about getting fed up about this. And that creates even more pain than the first arrow. So what we're working on, we can't do anything about the first arrow. Life sometimes gives us lemons. Life sometimes gives us what we don't want. But we can do something about the second arrow. We can do something about our reaction to the way life is at the moment. So the way we do that is just to notice that we are suffering. We are suffering beings. We notice the unpleasant feelings in our body. We notice that we feel tight or closed down or low or heavy in our bellies. And we bring compassion to that. We bring a sense of love and kindness to the suffering that we're imposing on ourselves, this second arrow. And if we can do that, well, the first thing is it takes us away from our minds, which are chattering away, making us feel worse. And it brings us into our bodies, into a soothing place where we can actually help the unpleasant feelings to moderate a little bit. So we can stop this self-imposed suffering if we notice it and we bring kindness to it. And actually, it's a bit pointless, isn't it? Getting anxious over the lockdown or over the elections in America or over Brexit. These things are going to happen, and they're going to happen the way they're going to happen. And our worrying is just extraneous. It's not going to achieve anything. So what we're trying to do as meditators is to sit in equanimity, to notice that we do get upset, we do get unpleasant sensations in the body, and to come into those sensations with a sense of loving kindness, and to take care of ourselves, and to try and just be with the body rather than the mind. So I'll try and guide us in some way with that as we go through this meditation. So just before we start, welcome to Sarah, Rose, Susan and Karen. Good to see you all. Good to see all of you this morning, and those who join us on the recording, welcome to you as well. Okay, so let's take care of ourselves. Let's look after ourselves in the next 25 minutes or so. So just noticing how we are this morning, gathering ourselves together, just really being honest about how we are, not trying to put any kind of brave face on it. If we're happy, that's great. If we're settled and content, that's fantastic. If we're feeling a bit churned up or worried or anxious or out of sorts, then that's okay as well. We're not trying to change how we are. Not this way anyway. So just noticing how we are with a sense of loving kindness, bringing an affectionate gaze on our whole being. We do our best, all of us, don't we? And it's hard sometimes. So can we appreciate that the effort that we put into living our lives? We're always doing our best. And can we notice how we are in our bodies? Are we relaxed or maybe a bit tight, a bit achy? Might be a bit sleepy. Whatever the state of our bodies, that's okay as well. Whatever's happening in our world, we can bring kindness to it. It's always available. Just having a sense of kindness and gratitude to our hard-working bodies that have carried us so far in this life. And just noticing our contact with the earth. Through whatever you're lying or sitting on. Just letting ourselves be held, letting our weight drop away. Having a sense of being held by the earth. And just bringing as much as we can, bringing our attention into the present moment, just being here right now with a sense of acceptance of however things are. And you might just notice if we can notice the gaps between your thoughts, that when there is a gap between thinking, everything is fine. So if we can allow ourselves to be in our bodies, to be aware of the present moment, then all the turbulence tends to disappear. So we can't force the mind to stop, but we can just be in our bodies, keep coming back to the present moment, be patient with any distractions in the mind, whatever they are, and just keep coming back to the present moment. Present moment is a safe haven. So in the first stage, we're just going to reflect on ourselves, how we really care about our lives. And sometimes this causes us to be anxious about difficulties, or to get a little bit depressed or fed up. So when we do that, can we notice what it feels like in the body? It might be a heaviness in the belly, tightness in the chest, might be a sense of tension all over the body, or a headache, or a really achy neck. And the mind whirring away, telling us that it's everything's bad, telling us to worry. Our minds stir up the worry. And this is just what the mind does. The mind wants everything to be nice and neat and tidy. And when it isn't, the mind doesn't like it very much. So we need to be kind to our body, but we also need to be kind to our mind. Our poor mind worrying about the way things are, affecting our bodies. So even if we can't stop the whirring of the mind, just sitting with a sense of loving kindness towards it, compassion, friendliness, whatever the state of our minds. And doing the same with the body, with any unpleasant feelings in the body, not identifying them as any particular emotion like anxiety or depression, but just bringing attention to the feeling tone, the tone of what we can feel. Probably feels unpleasant. It could feel pleasant if we're in a good state. But whatever we're feeling, pleasant or unpleasant, just being with it with a sense of kindness. And also remembering that we're doing our best, not blaming ourselves, not blaming anybody else if we can help it. Just being present with the way it is, with a sense of kindness. So it's a good thing to come into contact with any unpleasant feelings in the body. But it's not an easy thing to do, and it takes us time and effort to be with these unpleasant feelings. And so we also need a good friend. We need a good friend to be there for us in difficult times. And we probably have some good friends, but the best friend we have is available all the time, 24 hours a day, and it's ourselves. Can we be our own best friend? Can we be there to support ourselves through difficulties, to buoy us up when times are worrying or difficult? Can we be there to look after ourselves and to remind ourselves that this will pass? Things will always change. Can we be that really good best friend for ourselves? So can we also look after that part of ourselves that feels vulnerable? The bit that feels overwhelmed at times, that feels not good enough, not up to the situation. The part of us that feels a bit frightened and inadequate at times, and that worries and needs help. Can we maybe see that part of ourselves as a small child, a small worried child inside of us, doing its best, but feeling a bit frightened about living our lives? Can we picture that small child and take care of it, reassure him or her that everything's fine? Can we help them to feel more confidence? Can we help our inner child to grow? Can we be a reliable adult to our small child? Always there to support her or him, holding his or her hand, holding them close when they need love and care. So we can keep hold of our small child's hand if we wish, or keep our arm around our child, our inner child. And then inside we've also got this character called the inner critic, this part of us that constantly criticizes probably ourselves and other people, but mostly ourselves. This part of us that is never really happy with how we are, and it can be quite harsh at times, quite abusive sometimes even to us, this inner critic. And we might think this inner critic is not a very nice part of us. But in fact, the inner critic is a lot like the small child. Our inner critic is just scared that we won't make the mark in life. Our inner critic really just wants the best for us, but is misguided about the way to get there. The inner critic just wants everything to be right straight away. And it's not going to happen like that. We need to notice what we can change and what we can't change, and to accept what we can't change and to work on what we can change. So can we help to soothe our inner critic? help it feel a bit more comfortable? Can we bring a sense of kindness and love to this part of us that criticizes? Can we learn to reassure it and not take it too seriously? So in this final stage, reflecting again on the whole of ourselves, this complex human being that we are, tender, sensitive, quite fragile, putting on a brave face to the world as much as we can. Can we have a sense of kindness towards the whole of ourselves, the bits we don't really like very much, the bits we like, those things about ourselves that we can't change, and those things about ourselves that we can. Can we be a real friend to ourselves, seeing who we are in all our beauty, all our perfect imperfectness? Can we be there for ourselves when we need help, when we need support, to reassure and to be a support? Can we be our own best friend? And can we look after this inner child, this small being inside us that often worries and often doesn't feel quite equal to what's going on? Can we be there holding our small child's hand, holding our small child close, giving him or her a cuddle when they need it? Being a grown-up to our small child, helping him or her to grow and become more confident. And can we soothe our inner critic, this part of us that is so worried that we're going to not be good enough or make mistakes, can we reassure our inner critic that it's all okay? Things go wrong. We do things that we wish we hadn't. Situations are difficult sometimes, but we're doing our best and we'll learn from our mistakes. And we're not expected to be perfect. We are just beautiful in our imperfection. So bringing a sense of loving kindness to the whole of this beautiful, perfectly imperfect human being that we are. Whatever happens, just being there as a support. Doing our best to make our way through life. And as we do all this, can we have a sense of love and compassion to all other beings, human beings, animals, birds, even insects, all these living beings who in so many ways are just like ourselves, particularly other human beings. They too have an inner child. They too have an inner critic. They too find themselves blown about by the difficulties of the world. So can we feel a sense of solidarity with all beings and wish them well? Open our hearts to all beings, all human beings, animals, birds, water creatures, insects, and so on. There is so much we all have in common. Yes, Isabel says it's nice to be together on a day where big things in the world are going on. And it is. We're here to support each other and to help us all support ourselves. So I hope that was useful. And as you go through your day, I would suggest that I would encourage you to just keep remembering to be your own best friend and to look after the small child within, and to just not take your inner critic too seriously. Poor thing, this inner critic is just really wants everything to be fine, and it's a bit too much to expect. So anyway, I hope that was helpful, and yeah, just have a good day. Enjoy your day, and whatever happens with COVID and with the US elections and with Brexit, we can all be here, just remembering that if we come back into the present moment, everything is okay. and just stilling our minds, being in our bodies, and being kind to ourselves. That's the key. Okay, so have a good day. Our shop on Gillygate in York is open from 1:30 till 5 o'clock. So it's if you get chance to go in, that's great. It's a chance to do some Christmas shopping before the lockdown. And Joan will be there to look after you. So if you want to buy some gifts and nice things, that's the place to go. Okay, have a good day. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. And I'll see you again tomorrow for a mindfulness of breathing meditation, maybe. But have a really lovely day. And bye for now. Lots of love to you all.